Hi, I'm Kristen, author of The Age of the Child.
Hi, I'm Lenora. I'm the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper.
Hi, I'm Isabel, founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark, and we are the three founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. And today we have a very special guest in our podcast. Hannah is here with us. Hello, Hannah.
Hello.
So nice to have you. So, Hannah, you are the creator of Wife Without Kids.
Correct.
Made quite a name for yourself in the Childfree community because you have a lot of really cool content. So we're very excited to have you here. And the first thing we want to ask you is, how was it born? And can you also tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm Canadian. And I'm glad to have a fellow Canadian here as well.
Woohoo!
I'm married, obviously. I have 2 cats and no kids. So that's a little snippet about me, I guess. I never really had this plan to start a YouTube channel and talk about not having children, actually. It sort of came, not really by accident, I guess, but it took a little bit of time to happen. As everyone loves to watch YouTube, so do I. And so I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I started watching videos of people being like, hey, you know what? Anybody can make a YouTube channel. And that kind of got stuck in my head. And so one day I said, I'm just going to start a YouTube channel. And I did. And that was probably about 2.5 years ago. And my YouTube channel was about like everything and anything. I was like doing cleaning videos. I was talking about going to university. I was like all over the map. And so I was realizing, maybe I need to sort of niche down a little bit and talk about something I'm a little bit more passionate about, or something that defines me a little bit more. And so I randomly just decided to do this video about why I don't have any kids, why I don't want any kids, because people were always asking me like, why don't you guys have kids? So I did this video, and I was sort of nervous about putting it out there because, it could be a bit of a sensitive subject for some people. It's a bit of a private issue, I guess, as well. And so I put the video out there, and it got way more engagement than any other video I'd ever done. When my channel was still really small, but there were so many people leaving comments being like, commenting about why they didn't have kids, or sort of feeling like, hey, we're so glad you made this video about yourself. And so I was like, oh, I guess people do want to talk about this, and people do want to have a bit more engagement with people in the child-free community. So it kind of took off from there. And eventually I changed my channel name, and my content is basically based about child-free life now.
What was the channel called before?
It was called Chore With Me.
Chore.
So it was I was going to be a cleaning channel. Originally, that was my plan. And after doing about 10 cleaning videos, I was like, oh, this is really boring. I don't want to do this anymore.
What made you want to start a YouTube channel, period, in the first place? You said that you saw that anybody can make it and you enjoyed watching it, but I enjoy watching a lot of stuff, but that doesn't necessarily make me want to do it myself. What we're doing here is nothing I ever would have thought I would do. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not typically someone who likes to be looked at. I like to be writing, hiding away. So what made you decide to want to have any kind of channel at all?
Yeah, I'm a huge introvert, actually. And so what held me back from making a channel was like, I don't think I'm very good on camera personally. I'm not very well spoken. Like, some people are just so natural around people, and just, all the thoughts come to them and they say it, and it's so eloquent sounding. And I just feel like I'm stumbling over my words and not sounding super professional, I guess. But I saw making a YouTube channel as being a challenge, and I like challenging myself a lot. And I'm a pretty determined person. So when I put my mind to something, I'm like, you know what, this is going to be challenging, but I'm also learning a lot, and I love learning. So that's sort of where I decided, you know what, I'm just going to jump in with both feet, and let's see where this goes.
Your ease with speaking and your confidence in expressing your thoughts I'm dying to know if this is in somehow, if your professional life also includes a lot of speaking, or like what you do outside of the video that contributes in any way to how you do this.
I don't often feel like my thoughts are coming out exactly the right way, but I guess there are a couple things. I went to university and trained as a physical therapist. And so we had tons and tons of public speaking things that we had to do in classes. So, I guess I got a lot of practice, and I had to do a thesis and everything. So you get a lot of practice there, but I don't think for introverts, I don't always think that that's going to just be natural. It's just going to come naturally. I would say pretty much for every single one of my videos, I brainstorm a lot about what it is I'm going to talk about, and I write myself an entire script. Now, I kind of write down word for word what I want to say, but I don't read it. It's just more of an exercise for me to get my thoughts clear and to have talking and speaking points. And then I'll rehearse that several times. And then when I sit down to film a video, I try to have it more like a conversation, but I've practiced what I want to say. And then, of course, sometimes I deviate from the script. It's not that I have to say it exactly like that, but if I don't do it like that and I just sit down and I try and talk, I'm all over the map, and it makes an editing nightmare because then I have to pick pieces from here and try to fit it together. And then I'm like, that doesn't sound at all like what I was trying to say. And, that people are going to be watching and being like, what is she saying? And misinterpreting it somehow. So it's honestly, it's a lot of practice. It is a lot of practice to do that. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things for me about filming a video, is coming up with how I want to say things and saying things in a way that I feel is going to actually convey what it is that I'm trying to say. And it's a work in progress, honestly. It really is.
We get a lot of questions like from our audience asking for advice on getting started, because as most of us know, it's getting started is half the battle in this journey. And you've been posting consistently. So do you have anything that's kind of helped you keep consistent? What is your secret for someone who's struggling, trying to get started, or maybe has made 5 videos and going, okay, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? What has kept you motivated especially this last year, doing child-free content specifically? Because we need more creators, but it's a challenge to get up and go.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think just, what, everyone has a unique way of showing what they're passionate about. And so you might think, oh, there's already so many channels doing this, or there's already some child-free channels out there now and podcasts, so why would I start mine? But you have a unique take, right? Because everyone has a different story and everyone has a different approach. And don't underestimate that for sure. And share that with someone, because when I first started, I thought, oh my goodness, no one's going to really be able, maybe there'll be like 10 people that can relate to me, and that's probably about it. But it was way more people, and the longer I keep doing it, the more people keep saying, yeah, you know what, we can relate to what you're saying. And I think the second thing is be patient, because it is a massive learning curve. And I have had some very frustrating times where I put a video together and it won't upload, or my computer crashes, or just be patient with yourself. The learning curve is really steep, but just do what you can, and don't compare yourself and think that, oh, my video has to be perfect, because no one's video is really perfect, right? We can always improve on everything we do. So just, you're passionate about something and you're passionate about being child-free, just start.
I'm curious about what the people who are close to you think about what you do, like your parents and your closest friends. What do they think about, what do they tell you about your channel? Do you get a lot of comments from them, or not really?
My family, I told my family pretty much right away that I was doing a channel, and they were like, good for you. And I have siblings, they're all married with children, and they all watch my videos. So they leave comments. So I think they've actually enjoyed watching them. I have nieces and nephews that watch my videos, actually. They think it's fun. They especially like it when, the occasional cat makes an appearance. So that part of it has been amazing. To be perfectly honest, I haven't told a lot of my friends that I do this. I still kind of kept that private, and not because I'm ashamed of it or anything like that, but I just sort of feel like right now I want people that are really passionate about being child-free to find me in that way. So probably not explaining this very well, but I'm making my channel for people who are very specifically child-free, or who are very interested in the child-free lifestyle. And I want organic traffic to come to my channel. I want people to watch me because that's the reason that they're there. I mean, my family's always the exception, of course, right? Because you want to share something you're passionate about with your family. But I don't want to tell my friends and then make them feel like, oh, you have to go watch my videos and you have to support me. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on them. And 95% of my friends all have kids. And so I don't think this is something that they are necessarily passionate about or interested in, which is fine by me, obviously. But I don't want to put any kind of pressure on them that they have to somehow support, my desire to be child-free. And if they didn't, then I would be upset, because I totally wouldn't be, but that's kind of how I've approached my channel.
Now, why did you decide to go with wife without kids instead of woman without kids, or me without kids, or why attach the wife to it? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Oh no, good question. When I decided to change my channel, I wrote down a whole bunch of potential channel names, similar to what you were saying, wife without kids, wife without kids, woman without kids, life without children, all sorts of things. And I had compiled this whole list. And then what I wanted to do is, because I have several different social medias, I wanted to make sure I had the same name across all of my social media accounts, just so it's less confusing, obviously. So that eliminated several of the things on my list. And then Wife Without Kids was one that was available pretty much everywhere. And so I kind of went with that sort of by default, but also because I like the name. And I like the name because I feel like it describes something about who I am. It says that I'm a wife, and it says that I don't have children. And so I think that, and I guess now kind of a third reason why is that sort of has come about more now as I've had my channel for a while. I feel like a lot of people, when you don't have children, ask, "Oh, are you married?" Because the assumption is, "Oh, when you find that perfect person, then you're definitely going to have children." And so people don't ask me that anymore because they can tell that I'm married. So it's kind of one of those questions you don't have to keep answering. Not that, it's a huge burden to answer it, but yeah, it just sort of already answers the question before it's even asked.
I like the effect of it because I think a lot of people also hear wife and they think if you are a wife, then you should have kids. Or if you don't have kids, why bother getting married in the first place? So I think it kind of generates a certain kind of curiosity because I think people who I like that you are intentionally looking for people who don't want children, who are looking for that camaraderie or, support or kinship in some way. But I think it's also important for people who don't understand it to get curious about it and learn more about it too, if they have preconceived ideas or if they have judgments that are largely unfounded or whatever. So I think if someone does hear wife without kids, that might just kind of create a short circuit in certain kinds of people who will then take an interest in who this wife without children is and what she has to say. So I like that it's almost, well, probably unintentionally controversial.
Yeah, true. That actually is true, because one of the comments I've got is, "Well, what's the point of getting married?" Or like, "What's the point of even being a wife if you're not going to have children?" Like someone left that comment on a couple times. That comment has been left, and I'm like, well, there's more to a marriage than just having children. So
Believe it or not, yeah.
yeah,
Just off of that last comment that you made, we were wondering about the trolling on your channel. Do you get a lot of that, and what type of comments do you get, and how do you deal with them as well?
Oh, if you're child free, you're going to get some kind of comments, right? Yeah, it's, I guess one thing, yes, I definitely get some trolling comments. I definitely get some hate comments. One thing that I always try to remind myself about when I get those comments is, why did I create my channel? I created my channel for people who want to be child free. And what the little tagline, I guess, that I sort of say in every single one of my videos is that I want to create a supportive and non-judgmental community for people who are choosing the child free life. And so I always remember that. And a person leaving that kind of comment doesn't really fit into what it is that I'm trying to create. So, if it's a really hateful and mean comment, if they're swearing or saying something extremely inappropriate, I will just delete the comment or make sure the person can't find my channel anymore. Just hide the user from my channel. If it's a comment that is maybe not in agreement with something that I've said, but they're saying it in a way that's like, kind, and they're just saying, "Hey, here's my perspective," then I'm okay to leave that comment up. And, like, my channel doesn't have to be, everyone has to agree with every single thing I'm saying and doing, obviously. But if you have some feedback and it's a bit different than how I think, I'm totally okay with having that conversation with people. But the majority of my time, I want to spend focused on supporting people who are choosing to live child free.
And that can be a bit of a deterrent for some people that do want to get started because they are not sure what kind of response they're going to get. Some of those people, the trolls, some of them are obvious, but personally, in the first year I was blogging and whatnot, I would get mad and go, "Oh," I would tag Kristen actually and ask her to comment for me because I didn't feel ready, or I didn't like my approach. And my point wasn't to start an argument. I was just like, I didn't want to delete it, but I didn't know quite how to handle it. And I've gotten better at it. And it's not a lot, but I think that does kind of stop people who might feel, well, I don't want this kind of backlash. I don't want this kind of comment. So I'm not going to do it. But what would you, again, say to someone who to push past that, whether it's just deleting, ignoring, or not even don't take that into consideration? Yes, it's going to happen, but what would you say to help someone get over that or get past that part and create something?
I mean, we're all human. We all want to be liked. We don't like getting hate comments that are making a judgment about how we're choosing to live life, for sure. And I do think you have to have a bit of a, you have to don't let it get to you too much, because there's that person that's leaving the comment. And what I've noticed most is the most hateful and disgusting comments I've gotten are from people who, number one, don't have their own YouTube channel, and number two, don't even have a profile picture. So it's like they're on this like anonymous, facade, and they're sort of like putting themselves out there as being this person that's like, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to tell you what I think of you, but they're not even identifying who they are. So you know what? I don't know who that person is, and I'm just not going to let that get to me. I mean, that's easier said than done, because I do think it does hit you a little bit. I do feel like some of the comments that I've gotten, I think they're meant to be hurtful, and I honestly think they're funny. I actually had this comment that I got, and the individual said that, "Oh, your husband's not very much of a man if he's going to marry a wife that won't even give him children." And we just had a really good about it, because you're just like, who is coming up with this stuff? Like, where do people come up with these things? But you know what? 2020 has been a crazy year. I think a lot of people have a lot of pent up energy. And so it's coming out in some of the comments. I think you guys probably get that as well.
We do. We've been getting them from dads lately.
Oh, yes. You know what? I find that it's like middle-aged men are where I seem to get the comments, from what I can tell. So, they'll go into a little bit of a deeper, like, I'm a dad, I have kids, I'm such and such an age, that's where I find like I get the most.
I have very little respect or patience for people who just wear masks all the time and who can't voice an opinion honestly. If you're going to believe it, or shut up.
Oh, I totally agree. Because I think, you know what, when anyone starts a channel, especially with this kind of a topic that can be very controversial, you're putting yourself out there. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially if you're someone that isn't necessarily outspoken, or, likes being the center of attention, or, I'm someone, I like to blend kind of in the background, and, you don't have to notice me, and I'm okay with that. But it takes a lot of courage for me to make videos. And so when people do leave those comments, I'm like, it doesn't take courage for them to leave a comment when they don't have a profile picture or identify anything about who they are as a person. I think, and that's part of the reason I say, I'm just going to try not to let this get to me, and I'm just going to carry on with my day.
There's one thing that not many people have asked us, but I've seen maybe in channels or videos that are specifically dedicated to telling people how to start their YouTube channel. But the whole, you're recording and then you're editing and then you're like the sound and putting together the whole thing. It's a learning curve. And I just wanted to ask you, how have you tackled that?
Through a lot of trial and error. Honestly, the reason I'm laughing here when I say that is because I just had a meltdown yesterday, because my computer completely crashed, and exactly what we're talking about here. I had a video ready to go and it didn't happen, and it was just such a frustrating day, and there was nothing that I could do to fix it. I had to wait till my techie husband came home and got me back up and running again. But I do think it's a huge learning curve, and I'm trying to improve with every video that you make, but I think at the beginning it is really overwhelming, because there are so many bits and pieces. And I'm still filming on an iPhone. That's where I'm at right now. That's my level of technology. And so I just am starting very, very simple. And then, once I feel confident with that, then I add another step. And then once I feel confident with that, I just add another step. And I think that's kind of how you have to approach it, because I think you can get so overwhelmed with people who have these like beautiful sets and these fancy lights and cameras, and they've got everything looking perfect. And if you compare yourself to that, your first videos are going to, your first 20 or 30 or 100 videos are going to look nothing like that. And that's totally okay, because I think the message matters more than your video. I mean, you got to have good sound so people can hear you, and you should be able to make sure people can see you. But beyond that, if you're passionate about what you're talking about, just focus on the passion that you have in sharing and supporting people. And I think that goes a lot further than making sure you have the perfect setup.
100% agree. I just got an actual mic like last month. And we've been doing this for over a year. But that's just it. It's especially if you're following somebody like big content creators, and you're looking at all the fancy equipment and they're showing behind the scenes, but they've been doing it for 10 years. And then you're like, oh crap. I have to get all of this equipment first. Like you said, you can start with the basics. I like I like the early day behind the scenes information. That's always what I'm after with anyone who's creating anything. I want to know like what happened. What's something, well, you said your computer crashed, so it's kind of hard to top that. But is there anything like just absolutely ridiculous in the first couple months that you got started that you were almost like, okay, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore, but you came back from? Like, is there anything just to make someone else feel better that you're
That
still
was
here
like
after that?
that was like actually the very first video. The very first Childfree video that I did, I had a horrible cold and my voice sounded really croaky. And I was just like, nope, I promised I was going to get a video up every week for like the next 3 months. I'm shooting this video and I'm doing it. And when I go back and look at that video now, I mean, I think I sounded horrible, but I mean, it wasn't the worst video that I've created probably. But, you just have this self-doubt like, oh, I look tired. I haven't been sleeping and my voice sounds mannish and just like, what is going on with me? And who's even going to watch this? And it's good for a laugh, because if you don't have some bad videos to look back on, you're never going to see yourself improve. So if I ever put up a video and I'm just like, oh, it wasn't that good, I go back to like my first, 30 or 40 videos I did, and then I'm laughing. And then, like a year from now, I'll probably look back at videos I created this week and I'll be laughing. So it's just, you got to just not take yourself too seriously and just keep, just do what you can.
Did you ever feel the pressure to have kids at any time in your life? Did you ever experience even just a moment of, and it doesn't even have to be pressure from your husband or your family or anything like that, but was there ever anything in you just from growing up in the world that we're living in that made you feel like it was a switch or something you had to work against? Or was it just a very easy, natural progression and kind of an obvious thing?
I would say I've known my whole life that I didn't want kids, probably from the time I was in my teens upward. But I think, and I'm just going to throw this out there and say, I think for most women at some point, even if we don't want kids, because so many people give you the message that it's what you're supposed to do, or it's what women do, or it's what wives do, there is, there's a moment in time where I have a little self-doubt and I think like, okay, am I missing something? Like what's wrong with me that I don't want to have children? Like, am I really missing the boat here? Am I going to regret this? And I've had those fleeting moments and thoughts. But then when I look at my life and I think, all right, am I happy with how my life is? Am I enjoying life? And I don't feel like anything is missing. And so I think that for me is that answer for me that, you get those messages, and because everybody says it, you think, oh, everybody must be right. But then I think there's no way that every single woman in the entire world should and must and would be happy to have children, because that's just not realistic. There literally isn't any decision in the entire world that fits every single person equally. And so I guess, yeah, it's the fleeting moment is there, but then I know that that's not right for me and it's not what I want. So the answer is pretty quick and clear for me, I guess.
I am really curious about how did you approach that with your with your husband now, but when you started dating, was it like something that came out very early in the relationship, or was it something that you guys spoke about later?
So I'm the introvert and the shy one, so I wasn't bringing that up on the first date. But I would say it was probably about 4 or 5 months into dating. And I thought, like, I really like this guy. Maybe I should just let him know I'm not really interested in children just in case. And it wasn't awkward because he's an extreme extrovert and there's like nothing he won't talk about. So when I brought it up and I'm kind of like worried about it and I'm like, oh, I don't really think I want kids, he's like, oh, okay. So I was like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And like, we talked about it in much more detail later on, but he said for him, he could have gone either way. Like he likes children, but he doesn't feel like he's missing out by not having them. And like like I said, we each have siblings, they have kids. We've spent a lot of time with our family's children. So I don't think that there's anything, he has told me that there's nothing that he feels is missing because of that. So I think for us, the conversation was actually pretty simple and pretty straightforward and easy, I guess.
That's the dream scenario, isn't it? I don't want kids. Yeah, me too. I'm good. Okay, we're good.
I got lucky like that too. Mine, if I had wanted kids, he would have had them, but I didn't, so he didn't care. He's same thing. He doesn't feel like he's missing out, but if they presented themselves way back when, he'd have been fine with it.
Yeah, and I think that's like the best case scenario, because I think it is quite rare, and that's a comment I get a lot. People say, well, do you know any like single men or single women that don't want kids? Because I'm looking. I'm like, man, if I knew them and I could, put them all together and offer them to you, great. Because I do think that's a huge struggle, because there's a lot of I think I get the comment more from females that say like, I just don't want to have kids. And every guy I date is like, what? You don't want kids? All right, well, it's over then, right?
It's almost as if the universe is just giving us big tests, like sending, whatever you identify with, whether you're straight, gay, whatever. It's just like we always meet the people that really want kids just to test how strong our conviction is to not want them. Um, that's just a personal theory. So it can stop any time now because there are a lot of people, but I know there's more to being compatible than just the fact of not wanting to have children. But that is a huge draw. And I think in relationship, I am personally a single person, so I don't get into this conversation too often as far as dating and how to date and how to like relationship wise. But um it blows me away how that conversation doesn't happen right away. And I think for those of us who are so vocal and public about not being child free, or being child free, not wanting children, it's easier for us to bring that up right away. But it's still it's mind boggling, 3-4 months down the road and that conversation hasn't come up, and the relationship is potentially getting serious. So,
Mhm.
any advice for those people who haven't told their uh their partner or whatever that they don't want kids yet?
Yeah.
That really should have this conversation.
Yes, definitely. Please, for the sake of both of your hearts, have the conversation. Because I mean, like I look back on it now and I was like, okay, I waited, 5 months. That could have been potentially a bit hazardous. But it is like, even if you're uncomfortable about it, because I honestly think people don't want to waste their time. Like it's hard to find someone that you connect with. And if you find that person, I think there's certain things you honestly just have to be really straight up about and be honest about, even if it's a hard conversation to have, because it's easier to have that conversation 3 months into the relationship than like, 8 or 9 months. And you realize you're on completely opposite points. And then who's going to give, right? You have two choices. You're either going to stay together and one of you is going to compromise, or you're going to have to go your separate ways at the end of the day. That's sort of what it boils down to. So yeah, it's a tough conversation for some people, but definitely it's so worth it to have it. And then if you're with the person and you realize, no, we want different things, just like anything in life, right? There's going to be deal breakers for every relationship and every person. So then you just move on and continue your journey of looking, I guess, if that's what you want to do.
One of our viewers asked Lenora if we ever run out of ideas when we do our videos. So I want to ask you the same thing. Like, where do you get your ideas from? And do you ever feel that you're going to run out of ideas?
Yeah, pretty much all the time. And that's actually one of the reasons why at first I didn't want to make just a child-free channel, because I'm like, okay, I have like an idea of like 10 videos. And then once I worked through those 10 videos, I was like, and I got nothing left. Now what am I going to talk about? So it is a challenge, because you want to create content that you feel like people are actually going to be, benefiting from. And so just to be pulling random things out of the sky, that might not be the best way to approach videos. But I do actually think the viewers that I have, they do leave ideas for me down in the comments. They'll say, hey, could you react to this video? Could you talk about this? And I don't always take those ideas and run with them, because sometimes they're things that, are extremely controversial, or things that I just don't feel like have enough, in them to actually create a video out of it. But I keep every single one of the suggestions that I get and I have it on a list. And then sometimes I'll take 2 or 3 different ideas and then put those together, and that becomes a video. So honestly, yeah. And I do follow other child-free channels and I see like, what are they talking about? I mean, there's not that many child-free channels to follow, unfortunately. So I try to get some ideas from that, or go to other social media, child-free social media, and see like, what are people talking about? And yeah, it's a lot of just kind of digging around and trying to see what are child-free people interested in hearing about and talking about.
I always feel like there's so much life experience to talk about that really, how can one person run? I think there's 140 years of experience between the three of us. I don't know of things to talk about, or maybe I'm aging us too much. I don't know.
Yeah, you're
Um,
like 80 years old in your mind. But no.
well, it was 120 or 140. I can't do quick math. um, because someone had asked us that question. A couple people have asked us this question about running out of ideas. Or how to do it. But I think, every stage, and you can probably speak to this, like every stage of your child-free journey, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, you have different levels of confidence, different experiences. And I find that sometimes going back in the vault of your 20s, and finding and remembering, having a memory of something that irked you and how you overcame that, specifically on the child free topic, and then how you may deal with that in your 30s. Because personally, I feel much more confident in my 30s about being child free and being more to speaking about it than anything. Like I would have not have done this in my at 25. There's no way I was ready. I'm a talker, but no way was I able to emotionally deal with having this conversation without being super defensive. And so, we're all in different stages. And I think there's just so much that people that one can talk about. It doesn't have to be flashy or um, reinventing the wheel or coming up with new concepts. I think that's kind of where content creators get stuck, is we sometimes feel like we have to make something new or have a new topic within the child-free conversation that hasn't been had before, which I don't know if that's possible, you know? So it's finding your way to say something that's maybe already been said, but in, like you said before, in your style, which, that's not a question. That's just kind of what I do. I just say statements and then whatever conversation happens, happens.
No, it's a great point, which is actually why it's amazing to have someone who's an extrovert come and, like my husband, come and be in my videos, because I think it's kind of unique to bring him into the story too, because it's his story. Being child free is also his story. It's not just mine. And so when we do videos together, he just has so much to say that I'm like, there we go. Then I'm not having to write out this whole script and like try to make sure I, got lots to say. But yeah, I do think, and I think you think you have a lot to say, and you do. And I think that's easier when you're an extrovert. But I think sometimes when you're an introvert, you kind of have that sort of a little bit of self-doubt, like, okay, well, I've kind of already talked about this now, so maybe I'm not going to go back to that. But you're right. I mean, it's just each individual has their own way of saying things. And you're right about the being in your 20s to your 30s. It is a big change, right? And I think that confidence that you have, you can kind of build off of that. Like, okay, well, when I was 20, this is sort of how I approached this, but look at where I'm at now, which is perfect, because that gives me another video idea. Thank you.
No problem. But it's good because it gives you hope. I mean, not you, but viewers, right?
Yes.
Those that are struggling in the earlier years going through this process. So
that actually just reminded me, and also like tying it up with what you just said about, your people who watch you giving you ideas. One of our viewers actually gave us the idea to do the episodes of Child Free Through the Decades, because she was like, I'm interested to know what happens when you like mature in that child free life, and so we brought in people from 16 to, was it 69?
65, yeah.
65, to talk about it, like all child free women, to talk about our experience. And it was such a fun episode. So I guess my question here to you would be, what is the idea that you have gotten from your audience that you made a video out of, that you were like, wow, this was a great idea?
Well, your idea that you guys did, that's really cool. Oh, I love that. Because it is, yeah, it's so different when you're 16, I'm sure, to when you're 69. Okay, I got to think about this here. One of the things that I did, actually, I talked about assumptions that people have about child-free people or child-free couples, because I get them a lot, and people in the comments were always like, well, everyone assumes this about me, or everyone assumes that about me. And I thought, there we go, that's a video topic. So I actually asked my audience, my community, what are assumptions people have about you, and the fact that you live a child-free life. And I got so many responses. I don't even think I could put them all in a video, but I kind of took like my top, probably like 15 or 20 responses, and that's how I created that video. And it was interesting because a lot of us get the exact same assumptions. Like some are more specific to a certain person with like a lifestyle that they have, or the career that they're in. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of them were repeated assumptions that pretty much every child-free individual would get.
I just want to point out for the people who are only listening and not watching that the woman who said it doesn't have to be flashy is Lenora. And Lenora is wearing the flashiest pink curly wig yet. I mean, she's had some wigs. This one is one. If you are a regular listener, I invite you to visit YouTube at least once to see this episode just for Lenora's hair.
It is worth mentioning. I'm like Oprah, but pink. I mean, not skin color, but like, well, okay, that all came out wrong. My hair is like Oprah hair, but pink. That's what I meant to say. Well, and this is interesting actually talking to there's so many comments I could say in response to Kristen, but hey, anyone listening to this or watching me knows that how I am shit at this point. But um Hannah, you say you're an introvert, and I always identified as an extrovert because I am very chatty, but it turns out I am more of an introvert. But doing these videos, like when we started doing this show, I was not interested in being on video at all. Um, I love public speaking. Like I enjoy improv. I was a violinist, so I'm a performer. Like that was my thing. But to talk, like I don't like being photographed and I don't like being filmed. So the wig thing has evolved. It's like my comfort zone. I just put on something, and that allows me to get rid of any insecurity of what my hair looks like or how I'm being filmed, and I can just talk. So it's interesting hearing, because to me you are very well spoken, very eloquent, and I understand everything you're saying. It's coming out very clear. As I think the three of us are picking up from you, it's coming out well. So I find it interesting when you compare from introvert to extrovert and how we perceive ourselves when we do these videos. you know at the beginning of when we started this show, the three of us decided not to critique ourselves too much, because we can sit there and we go, oh, I don't like how I said this, or but then like Isabel might have a criticism of herself, and Kristen and I'll be like, what are you talking about? You're fine. But we all have that feeling. So when we're doing these videos and putting your content out there, and you're sitting there going, oh, why did I do this, or I should have done this, or whatever, it takes away, it's not necessary, but we all feel that way. So it's just interesting to have that conversation. For me, the hair is the thing that, or the wig just lets me speak and be me and not worry about anything. Even though as a technical extrovert, you wouldn't think that would be an issue, but it still is. So just putting that out there.
When I first was wanting to make a YouTube channel, I was like, okay, what kind of content can I make where I don't have to be in it at all? I don't have to show my face, I don't have to talk. It's just me doing something. Then I realized, yeah, I don't really have any ideas for that. So at some point, you're just going to have to show your face. And actually, it's funny, my first few videos, I made sure I never showed my face at all. You could sometimes see me, like, as I'm cleaning, you'd see my back or something like that. But yeah, I wouldn't show my face at all. And one time I was like, ooh, I did a little, like, a quick fast forward, and like I walked by and you could see the side of my face, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just put my face on YouTube. And it was like such a big deal for me, but it was almost kind of like this little personal jump where I did this little growth, and I was like, you know what, nobody probably even cares, because you just look at yourself, like you said, and you check out your own mannerisms and the way you say something or what you're doing, and you're your worst critic, obviously, right? Like no one is sitting there looking at you, dissecting you, and if they are, then they just have way too much time on their hands.
Exactly.
Are those cleaning videos still online?
Oh, you know what? I didn't delete anything. It's embarrassing, some of the stuff I did, but you know what? It shows me that when I'm having a day where I'm like, my video's sucking, I just go back and I'm like, nah, big improvements. I'm okay.
And I ask only because I'm really curious about what they were, because I can't imagine what someone would talk about during a cleaning video, and so I'm really just fascinated by the idea.
Oh, no, you don't talk. See, that was
Oh,
the exact thing. You just throw on some music and then you just fast forward yourself doing cleaning. Like that's
oh,
all. It was seriously, everyone was doing it. So I was like, this is my ticket into YouTube. I'm going to make a big cleaning videos. And then I realized, boring. I can't do this anymore. And you think too, like how much do people want to just see you cleaning your shower or your toilet? Like it just, it wasn't for me. I mean, like I know so many people that have made huge successes on YouTube doing cleaning videos, and like amazing for them. But I think I came a little late to the game for that, honestly, and it just wasn't my thing, which is fine.
you should be passionate about it. I mean, if you're gonna clean every week,
Oh, exactly.
you better love it.
I was just thinking you could still do cleaning videos, but talk about child-free topics. I mean, no one has done that yet. Think
That
about
is
it.
true.
You really
That's
want to.
innovative.
You really want to stand.
I love it. That video's gonna be dedicated to you. I'm gonna be like, here you
Yes.
go, and now let's talk.
Thank you. But I think there is some merit though in just starting, because like you said, it's for you. It started with cleaning videos without your face in them, and then it morphed into you discussing why I don't want kids, and then it's morphed into what it is now, which is going to expand into whatever's next for you. So I think that is value right there for anyone who is new to the content game, who wants to get started. Just start and let it evolve, because it's not going to be the way it's going to end up right out the gate anyway, and that's proof, and it's good that you have your original content out there too, because then someone who you may not know is just scrolling through and seeing how you got started, and they go, oh well, she didn't start out with this topic right away. It's inspiring. That's an inspiring story, so definitely leave it up, because it's seeing, like they say, that it's all about the journey, not the destination, which is a cliche, but it's true. And that's a perfect example.
You're right. And I do think, like, if someone had said to me, okay, you're gonna have a child-free channel, I want you to sit down here and I want you to talk to the camera and make a video about why you don't have kids, I would have been petrified. I was like, there's no way I could have done it. No way. And so I think that was sort of my baby steps, just doing my little cleaning videos, and then, slowly progressing from there to the point where now I can sit down in front of a camera and talk about something that, is a little bit more personal and private, but that I'm passionate about. And yeah, and then, in a year from now, who knows what else I'll be talking about and what else I'll be doing. So yeah, it's definitely, you take the baby steps and you start where you're comfortable. And then as you get more comfortable, you will progressively, share a little bit more or do a little bit more. And that's, I think, how everyone's journey is, honestly.
Well, Hannah, it's such it was such a good experience having you here, because we're hoping to inspire more people to put more child-free content out there, and having another creator of child-free content like you here is also like, we hope this is going to give somebody out there who's listening to this or watching us on YouTube the push that they need to start. Is there anything else before we actually let you go that you want to add to this interview? Anything we didn't ask you, or anything you want to comment on?
I just actually want to say thank you, ladies, for the show that you guys do, because I actually think you guys are all very unique. And when you come together and you share, and you don't always, think about things the same way, but I think you all have this cohesive way of sharing with people. And it's really interesting to watch, actually. I enjoy watching you guys. I watch you guys while I'm cooking. I'm cutting up my onions, and I've got you guys in the background there, and I'm watching you guys because you guys talk about things that I've never even thought to talk about. And then you guys give me ideas as well. And I'm so thankful that, our child-free community is still small, but it is growing. And, thanks so much for what you guys do, because it's really important. And it's important for people to know that, us child-free ladies or gentlemen out there, we all come from, different backgrounds, and we all have different experiences, and we don't always think the same, but that's okay. We still get to share, and we still have this desire and this mission to let people know that, being child-free is definitely a choice, and you should be supported in that choice no matter what.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your words, Hannah. And thanks again for your time. It was really nice to have you here. You're welcome to come back anytime you want. We could make like this. We could do a collab video between the four of us. It would be really cool.
That would, yes. I look forward to the scrubbing of the toilet, yes, and talking about some child-free tool while you're doing it.
Requesting scrub?
I don't know why the toilet's a thing. It's not.
I don't know. Toilet.
I don't know. No, it doesn't. No, it could be making something glamorous. I like glam. So hey, do something like, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't have to be a toilet.
Polish a heel.
Like, or polishing the silver.
Yeah, totally. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm getting.
I think that'd be great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had a lot of fun chatting with you, ladies.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes,
thank you for coming.
It was really fun to be here. Thank you. For everyone who is watching us on YouTube or listening to us on our podcast, you can send us all your comments to our email. It's childfreegirls@gmail.com, or leave any comment that you want below this video if you're watching us on YouTube. This is the end of our episode. We're sorry. I know it was a lot of fun, and we promise to keep on coming the fun content.
And fun comments.
Hannah, Hannah, we'll leave a link to your channel below in our show. And what's the best way if anyone wants to contact you to ask you questions or leave you ideas for your show? How do you like to be contacted?
You can contact,
or do you like to be contacted?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm okay with that. You can contact me Instagram, Wife Without Kids, YouTube comment, Wife Without Kids, or you can email me, wifewithoutkids@gmail. Super easy.
Sounds good. You can find us all over social media. We are at Childfree Girls on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, sometimes Pinterest, occasionally on TikTok, but mainly Facebook and Instagram. And of course, our email is childfreegirls at, no, you already said that already. Childfreegirls.com is our website. And you can also find us on Amazon. Child Free Girls, Comfort Food for Thought, in paperback and in Kindle.
Our question today for you is, are you a content creator? And content is any content you're creating of any matter whatsoever. And if you are you just starting out? Have you been doing it for a while? And if you're just starting out, what are some problems you're having? And if you've been doing it for a while, what is the biggest lesson you learned? And I know that people are probably all across the board in this area. So whatever you can offer or whatever you can ask, do that in the comments. And I think you can all probably help each other, guide each other, laugh at each other in a very nice, fun, I've been there kind of way. Leave your comments below. If you want to talk about it privately, you can email us at the address we gave you earlier. And yeah, say something down there.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
No, you say bye.
No, you say bye.
Oh my God, I'm leaving.
You leave first.
I'm going.
Bye.
Bye.